My name is Abhilash Philip. I'm the Deputy Chief of Party for the Shops Plus project in India, and I'm serving as the moderator for today's webinar. The Shops Plus project is a 5-year initiative with the strategic objective to raise the use of family planning, maternal, newborn, and child health and tuberculosis products by harnessing the potential of the private sector and catalyzing public-private engagement. Today, we will public-private partnerships with the help of a district who have experience in government, donor, and the private sector. Let me tell you how the webinar is structured. We will first discuss how USAID views public-private partnerships at a broader level, and then turn into two segments. The first one being the partnership with the government on diarrhea management, and the second one on the partnership with the e-pharmacy services for tuberculosis. At the end, we will have a Q&A session that we hope will last for at least 15 minutes to get in as many of your questions as possible. If you have questions, next slide, please. So this is the distinguished panel that we had with us today. Yeah. If you have questions for these panelists at any point during the webinar, next slide, please. Please use the Q&A function shown here to share with us. When submitting a question, please be sure to submit it to all panelists. Specify if the question is for a particular panelist and include your name and organization along with the question. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with all who registered for it. Next slide, please. Let us begin with our first panelist, Moni Sagar. Moni is the Division Chief of Family Health Division of USAID India, where she provides strategic leadership and manages a team of experts on reproductive, maternal, child, newborn, and adolescent health issues. She has been with USAID for the last 15+ years, and during this long tenure was also the Development Assistance Specialist Innovation, where she provided technical and program expertise on development innovations in the education, water, clean energy, agriculture, and health sectors. Moni, thank you for joining us today and welcome.
Thank you, Abhilash. The topic for this
great to have you. Yes, so a warm welcome, and I just wanted to start, asking you, why does USAID prioritize public-private engagement or partnerships in their work?
Yeah, so I was just saying that the topic for the session is actually very important, and specifically, I think in today's context, with the growing demands on the health system, and engaging the private sector and exploring public-private engagement is a core priority for USAID. As many of you know, USAID has been partnering in India's development programs for more than 70 years now. We work very closely with the Government of India across several of the health priorities. We also work very closely with many private sector partners, including corporates, financial institutions, foundations, and chambers of commerce. USAID recognizes that public sector as well as the private sector are important stakeholders in driving and sustaining growth and development in countries. And specifically, the private sector brings expertise and investment opportunities as well as tools that can really help finance the country's own development in what USAID calls as the journey to self-reliance. Especially in India, I think the vibrant private sector in India has played a critical role in the country's massive economic growth. And the leadership of the government has really ensured that the growth is more inclusive and more equitable. So we at USAID encourage public sector and private sector along with donors to co-design solutions to solve development challenges. And I think the COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of investing in public-private engagement in public health. We've seen how the private sector has been so responsive in this crisis, from donations to creating safer workplaces, production of personal protective equipment and ventilators, to investments for vaccine development or employing emerging technologies for surveillance and remote patient monitoring. I think private sector has shown remarkable leadership in joining hands with the government to respond to this crisis. And this has just been a great example of how when we combine the technological and financial forces from the private sector with the experience and leadership that the public sector creates, it brings exciting new solutions, and the approaches are more sustainable than traditional development approaches. So I think there is a lot of momentum currently that is being built on public-private engagement. There is much more trust now, and the government has been really encouraging private sector partnerships as well. But there are still some details on how the mechanics of it will happen. And I think in though that kind of a context, a program like USAID India's Shops Plus is really adding great value. Thank you.
Thank you, Moni. It seems there are a number of reasons to tap the potential of private sector public sector engagement. Just a follow-up question, Moni. You bring a rich, diverse experience managing a number of projects across India. What are some of the approaches USAID has adopted for PPP, particularly in India?
Sure, Abhilash. So in the health sector, we have, as you said, have adopted a different approaches for private sector engagement and public-private partnerships. Our approach, one of the approaches has been how do we really engage private sector to bring in resources, specifically now with the more funding available through corporate social responsibility programs that in India. And USAID has been really helping to mobilize those CSR resources into investments that can enhance public sector programs and really, make a significant development impact. So an example I would like to quote is the 10 to 19 collaborative we have with DASRA, where we've been able to mobilize 28 million in additional funding, $28 million in additional funding from different private sector partners towards adolescent health issues in our country. The second approach is demonstrating innovations and technologies through the private sector that can then be scaled up by the public sector. And an example I would like to again quote is the work we are doing in Rajasthan through one of our partners, the Wadhwani Institute of Sustainable Health or Wish Foundation, that brings together really the government, the private sector, innovators, entrepreneurs, and it really helps to demonstrate promising technology and innovations into the public health system. And this effort has helped to upgrade sub-centers in some of the remotest parts of the state and to convert them into state-of-the-art health and wellness centers. So that's, our second approach. And our third approach has been on collaborating on PPE through shared value partnerships. The TB Corporate Pledge is a great example of that. So last April, our ambassador to India announced this bold initiative that was designed to really galvanize India's corporate sector to contribute to Government of India's ambitious goal of eliminating TB by 2025. So in just 1 year, this initiative has been able to bring together 100+ companies in the fight against TB in India. And more private sector entities continue to sign in the pledge and commit their resources to improve TB health outcomes. And on an average, already this corporate TB pledge is reaching more than 100,000 individuals every month with TB messages, services, and many have been screened and put on treatment. And finally, the last approach I would like to talk about is USAID's, we are exploring enterprise-driven models that use market-based solutions to solve development challenges. And an example, again, I would like to quote is the work we are doing with Honeywell India and Safe Water Network, where we've partnered with the local government to establish water kiosks that can be operated as, private, profitable enterprise-based models that provide safe drinking water to underserved communities at affordable prices. So again, these have been some of the approaches we've been using, and we've, really felt that, the public-private engagement has really worked for us in India. Thank you, Abhilash.
Thank you, Moni. It's very fascinating the various different approaches that US state is adopting towards public-private engagement, even tapping technology and private enterprise. Very fascinating. Dear audience, if you have any questions for Moni, please do submit them in the Q&A window now. Thank you, Moni. I'll just now move to Komal Khanna. She is the Chief of Party for the Shops Plus project in India. Komal has more than 25 years of experience with stints in both private and development sector organizations like the IBM, the Times of India, UNDP, and the Global Fund. Over to you, Komal. Komal, switch on. You're muted. Yeah, great.
Thank you, Abhilash, and good morning to each one of you. So partnerships are critical to India's journey to self-reliance, as just shared by Moni. USAID considers both government and private sector actors as key to India's journey to self-reliance. By building relationships between the government and the private sector, Shops Plus champions public-private partnerships to create a shared ownership, build collective impact, and sustain health outcomes. So Shops Plus focus is to expand the market for family planning, TB, and child health products. And we have been able to secure partnership with key industry manufacturers of OCPs, condoms, TB, ORS, and zinc products in order to increase the uptake of these health products and align them with the national priorities. Our focus is also to amplify the reach of Shops Plus campaigns beyond the project target group and geographies. We have invested in demand generation initiatives, including mass media and innovative use of social and digital media, which the national, state governments, and the private sector partners have amplified in new geographies. And finally, we've been able to build trust for sustained impact beyond the life of the project. Shops Plus has brokered many diverse partnerships. We have catalyzed partnerships to successfully bring together 3 national programs, 8 state governments, and 30 private sector partners. We have 4 successful public-private partnerships, and today we are discussing 2 of them in more detail, and the other 2 are ASMAN, which stands for Alliance for Saving Mothers and Newborn, where we do registrations of institutional deliveries through a digital application in public health facilities, and Condom Alliance, that brings together the 9 marketers and manufacturers of condoms. I would like to start with the first example of public-private partnership, where we know that the proper diarrhea treatment is critical for under 5 children. And we also understand that the 3rd most common cause of death among children is diarrhea. So in India, the government is actually using ORS and zinc as the most effective treatment for diarrhea management. And though caregivers often are aware of symptoms and seek treatment, 60% of children receive ORS and just 24% receive zinc treatment. So our objective was to align priorities to build a common objective between the public and the private sector. Here, the Government of India's priority was zero diarrhea deaths by promoting ORS and zinc as the first line of treatment for caregivers and doctors in public health facilities, while Dr. Reddy's, being the market leader of zinc in India, was wanting to expand the zinc sales. And they were wanting to encourage private doctors to co-prescribe zinc with ORS. Shops Plus aligned these 2 priorities into a common objective for Government of India and Dr. Reddy's, that is, of improving first line of treatment using zinc. And Shops Plus helped align the government and private sector with the Defeat Diarrhea campaign, where each stakeholder had unique strengths within the shared voice. Shops Plus designed the Defeat Diarrhea campaign for the Ministry of Health and produced 2 TV commercials to increase the stocking of ORS and zinc amongst caregivers of children under 5. The Health Ministry launched the Shops Plus TV campaign and aired them to reach 107 million people. The government was focused on promoting zinc for diarrhea management. And on Shops Plus request, Dr. Khera issued a letter of appeal to the heads of the Indian Academy of Pediatricians and Indian Medical Association. For its part, Dr. Reddy's, the largest manufacturer of zinc in India, amplified the government campaign and took Dr. Khera's letter through its medical representatives to 24,000 private doctors in the network. Shops Plus encouraged the government to include private providers in its annual diarrhea campaign, and as a result, the government included private providers in its national guidelines for the diarrhea program. And the benefits gained by Dr. Reddy's was that they had greater credibility in promoting the use of zinc as part of the diarrhea treatment. And they also saw a 30% increase in zinc prescription by the pediatricians. We fostered a unified voice for the Defeat Diarrhea campaign with both public and the private sector. We also made a video message of the Health Minister, Dr. Harshvardhan, which Dr. Reddy's medical representatives took to the 24,000 private doctors to reinforce the importance of zinc. Thank you.
Thank you, Komal. I have the pleasure now of inviting the next panelist, Dr. Ajay Khera, who is the country representative of Engender Health. Till recently, Dr. Khera was the Commissioner for Maternal, Child and Adolescent Health in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and played the most crucial role in activating the partnership with Dr. Reddy's. In 2012-13, Dr. Khera coordinated the development of India's RMNCHA Plus strategy for improved maternal and child health outcomes. Between 2004 and 2010, Dr. Khera was the Assistant Director General Technical at the National AIDS Control Organization, where he played a significant role in arresting the growth of HIV in India. Thank you, Dr. Khera, for being with us. Sir, you will have to unmute yourself.
Sure, yeah.
Dr. Khera? Yeah.
Very good morning, Abhilash. And thank you very much for inviting me to join this panel session. So first of all, greetings to all of you on behalf of the Engender Health. And today, we are talking about the experience of the public-private partnership in a very special area of, controlling the diarrhea problem in the country. And as you know that around 10% of the child mortality is attributed to diarrhea. And there is a commitment by Government of India in terms of, eliminating deaths due to diarrhea. And as Komal was making a mention that around 60% of the children get ORS and around 25% children get zinc supplementation. And the government actually wanted that every child who gets a bout of diarrhea must get ORS packet and must get a zinc tablet. Only then we should be able to reduce deaths due to diarrhea. So that was a kind of, commitment which we have made. And this is the way forward in terms of, achieving our sustainable development goal as well. And in this context, universal health coverage, as you must have heard about it, universal health coverage has been identified as a strategy to achieve our sustainable development goals. And we are also aware that large number of children, particularly with this common ailment like diarrhea, cough and cold, they generally go to the private doctors. They go to the private sector. And in India, the private sector is a big player in terms of providing, medical services, in terms of providing healthcare to the population. So we realize that unless we engage with the private sector in a big way, we will not be able to achieve our so-called universal health coverage goals, and thereby we may fail in our achieving our sustainable development goals. So I would like to share with you the experience we had, and I'm really, thankful to the APT Associates for facilitating this, public-private partnership, where the Government of India, worked along with the Dr. Reddy's in terms of developing a public-private partnership concept, in terms of, promoting the use of ORS and zinc. And this is a unique partnership which has really demonstrated a big change in terms of, ORS use rate and the zinc use rate in the community. And what has been done is that, Dr. Reddy was, willing to promote use of zinc as a category through their resources rather than just as a brand. And Shops Plus was, facilitated this initiative. I think if public-private partnership has to win, I think some facilitation needs to be done. And I think the app has done a wonderful work in terms of doing that facilitation. And then the ministry was also willing to give their support through the right tools by writing a communication to the Indian Academy of Pediatrics and to the Indian Medical Association. So actually, it was a win-win situation for both of us, because ultimately, we all wanted that every child in the country must get ORS packet, must get zinc, so that, we can really reach our ambitious sustainable development goals. So with these few words, I think I'll stop here. And my best wishes to this particular public-private partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Khera, for that overview and taking us through the journey that you had with Shops Plus and Dr. Reddy's. I think the wins are clearly been demonstrated. I'm just curious, sir, can you recall any key roadblock that you faced in this collaboration, and how did you navigate through it?
I think this is a very important question. To be very frank, we have been talking about public-private partnership as a concept for many years. But I think it's high time that we need to demonstrate the success of this public-private partnership. And I, particularly like to share this experience while working on this project of, Defeat Diarrhea campaign. Biggest challenge is, engaging with a private company where there is a brand involvement. Because, what the public will see the government as promoting or endorsing a particular brand. So that's why, what we did was, number one, we have, kind of a clarity of the purpose, that why we are joining hands, because we wanted the ORS use rate to increase. We want zinc rate to increase. So we are not in competition. We are a complementary to each other. I think that understanding is very important. So that's number one. And beside that, we also use the neutral platforms of the associations to disseminate the appeals, like, I told you, like Indian Academy of Pediatrics, Indian Medical Association. But the most important thing is, in terms of, trust building and in terms of, the clarity of the objectives. If the clarity, and we should not be seen as in competition, and we must see public-private partnership as a complementary to achieve our larger public health goals. So if that point is kept in mind, and I think while navigating this, we took all these points into consideration, and we, created built the trust between the government as well as in the private. And I think the facilitatory role is absolutely very critical, because this is like, kind of a partnership which can only grow when there is a facilitatory support. And I think APT Associates has done a wonderful work in terms of, taking this together and doing a facilitative work. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Khera. And it was wonderful that, you had a category growth approach, which enabled us to do a generic promotion of zinc through Dr. Reddy's itself. So thank you so much, sir. And I will now move on to hear directly from Dr. Reddy's on the partnership. Mr. Kumar M is the head marketing of pediatric portfolio. Among the publicly traded pharmaceuticals companies in India, Dr. Reddy's had the second highest market capitalization of around $9 billion as of June 2020. So here we have a video from Mr. Kumar M.
Hi, good morning everyone. This is Kumar, responsible for pediatric portfolio from Dr. Reddy's. At first, thanks to the Shops team for giving me an opportunity to share my views. I want to share a very surprising fact to all of you that from the year 1990 to 2016, there has been 1,316 million deaths in the country, which is predominantly due to diarrhea and poor sanitation effects. This contributes to 16% of deaths in the country. Zinc plays a very pivotal role in the management of diarrhea. We have coined our name Z&D, that is zinc and diarrhea. The brand name has been coined in such a way that it correlates with zinc and diarrhea. We being a predominant player in the market and market leader in the category, it is our responsibility to drive the need of zinc in managing diarrhea. That's all. We join hands with Shops who are also working for a common objective of defeat diarrhea, who helped us to establish contacts with the Ministry of Health and Welfare. Our association with Ministry of Health and Welfare started in the year 2019 for their annual Defeat Diarrhea campaign. The Shops team has prepared a video emphasizing on the need of zinc and ORS in the management of diarrhea as per the WHO guidelines, which the government has authorized and played it as a commercial TV advertisement. It has also authorized Dr. Reddy's to cascade the message to practicing pediatricians in the country. So we, with our help of field force, took to 24,000 pediatricians in the country and emphasized on the need of zinc in the management of diarrhea, which helped us to establish the message. Joining hands with shops and the Ministry of Health actually helped us to re-emphasize much more on why zinc is important in the management of diarrhea along with ORS. Currently, government is evaluating our proposal to create zinc ambassadors. That is, if a doctor can give a pledge saying that every prescription of his diarrhea management will have a zinc into it so that the doctors can be certified as zinc ambassadors. Thank you everyone. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. So it's so fascinating to see that a market leader in the zinc space like Dr. Reddy's wholeheartedly adopted a category promotion campaign and at the same time was able to increase the sales of their products by at least 30% among pen-sitting doctors. So with this, we complete the first segment and move into the next one on the partnership involving e-pharmacy. This Shops Plus initiative was led by Population Services International. Let me invite Dr. Sanjay Pandey to make the presentation. Dr. Sanjay is the Chief Officer for Advocacy and Partnership in PSI. He was the health specialist in UNICEF and also headed the USAID-funded Health of the Urban Poor project in Population Foundation of India. Dr. Sanjay also served the government of Jharkhand as the first mission director of the National Rural Health Mission in 2000. Over to you, Dr. Sanjay.
Thank you so much, Abhilash. Thank you so much. And namaskar to everybody. I'm sure everybody is and healthy. This webinar organized at such a crucial time when engagement with the private sector is really very key to the health system strengthening as well as the better health outcome. So really, it's really great, Abhilash, to get this organized, the webinar on this. As all of you know that in our country, almost 480,000 Indians, they die every year because of TB. And primarily because of barriers to receive the timely and quality diagnosis and treatment for the TB is the main reason which comes out here. And it also causes this barrier, around 1.1 million, they go undetected. The TB patient, 1.1 million TB patients, they go undetected every year in our country because of these barriers. And about a third of this, the people who got for the treatment, they could not complete the treatment because of many reasons into it. So there is a issue related to the treatment adherence as well. And additionally, the additional information comes where the private sector really plays a larger role. Around 50% of TB patients, they go to seek treatment to the private sector providers on this. So we see Shops Plus see this as an opportunity, and that's how we formulated how can we really link government services with the private sector. And with the e-pharmacy primarily, the concept where it comes was where private sector providers, they can really prescribe the testing and the sputum can be collected from home. They can get the results from the on the messaging, through the message, SMS and other means of messaging on the mobile. The treatment can be done on that, and then based on the prescription by the government, by the doctor in the private sector, the free drug from the government sector can be delivered at the doorstep. And also the follow-up calls can be made by the call center of this. So the entire package were made into the entire e-pharma, which I'm going to share with you in the subsequent slides. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the basic role which came out was really playing the role of a catalytic, the catalyst on that way, where as all of you know, the government of India's priority is to ensure TB treatment, the treatment adherence, and also reduction in the out-of-pocket expenditure on that. Similarly, we also see from the private sector and especially the e-pharma, where it is a kind of a new market opportunity and with a real visible and viable market as well as the business model which can be there on that. And also this common objective primarily to improve access to the quality TB treatment, and especially when we were working in Madhya Pradesh in 3 cities, so it's TB treatment for the urban poor in Madhya Pradesh on that. Next slide, please. Yeah. As I mentioned, like our role was primarily as a catalyst, so we really helped to have a kind of a shared value between the government and the government of Madhya Pradesh, as well as the e-pharma, MedLife, so that they can really come to a common platform on that. And it also helped all the stakeholders engaged into it so that they can have the common shared value, understanding, and common objective to really contribute for this innovation onto this. And this pilot really connects the private sector TB patients with the government TB testing at the CBNet, drugs and support services, which with reduction in the out-of-pocket expenditure. And I'm really, the data very clearly indicates that almost rupees 5,500 reduction in the out-of-pocket expenditure were observed, which is equivalent to around $78, $78 US reduction were in the out-of-pocket expenditure were observed during this period. And more importantly, since mid-March, when the COVID-19 situation started getting worse in our country, in the state of Madhya Pradesh and all this area, it really played a crucial role. It played a crucial role in terms of ensuring the drug delivery to the patient and also connecting patient with the doctors through the WhatsApp, through the other calls and all, and the prescription were given and the drug delivery were ensured, and the special administrative approval for the drug delivery were ensured by the government in these 3 cities. And the government really requested that this kind of services are required everywhere, and including the private sector as well. Next slide, please. And I would like to have one of our champion who was really a process owner, the state TB officer, Dr. Varsha Rai. She played a crucial role, and she is one of the champions for this innovative practice in the state of Madhya Pradesh. So in her own words, you can listen to her. Yeah, video on, please.
Hello, I am Dr. Varsha Rai, and I am the State TB Officer for State Government of Madhya Pradesh. The Shop Plus project is supporting the Government of Madhya Pradesh to pilot delivery of TB drugs to patients' doorstep using an e-pharmacy platform. This platform will also collect sputum samples from households and deliver to the labs and deliver test results back to the patient so they know their TB status. We have been piloting this initiative since December 2019 in close collaboration with Shop Plus and MedLife, the private firm operating the e-pharmacy platform. It has been demonstrated how e-pharmacy can be used effectively to link patients treated in private sector to the free drug TB drugs and diagnosis that they are eligible for from the government. This helps to reduce some of the financial barriers that patients face when accessing TB services. So far, the e-pharmacy has delivered TB drugs to 1,222 patients and tested 564 people. The Madhya Pradesh government is the first state in India to pilot this model. We have been impressed by the results achieved so far and how the e-pharmacy is helping the government to achieve its TB targets. The Madhya Pradesh state government is actively exploring ways to sustain and scale the e-pharmacy model across the state, and we hope that other states will also take up this model. Look forward for continued support from USAID and Shop Plus. We work towards the goal of eliminating TB by 2025.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay, for the presentation and arranging for this video message from the state TB officer. It certainly looks like the government of Madhya Pradesh is very keen to sustain the partnership with the e-pharmacy sector, given its ability to ease things before and during the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you so much. I now move to Mr. Sri Prasad TG, who is the Senior Director for Customer Experience in MedLife, which is India's largest online pharmacy. Mr. Sri Prasad is the Contact Center Head, Sales and Support, with a demonstrated history of working in the field of information technology and enabled services. Thank you for taking out time amidst the churning and consolidation in the e-pharmacy sector. We noted media reports that MedLife and PharmEasy emerging to take on the likes of Amazon and Reliance, which also recently announced their forays into the e-pharmacy space in India. Thank you so much, Sri Prasad, for being with us. So I just wanted to, I wanted to start off by asking you, what were some benefits that the partnership with government has brought for MedLife?
Thank you, Abhilash, and greetings to all. See, this was a great opportunity for the MedLife, which is the largest e-health platform in India. It was always an individual transactions as far as MedLife is concerned, medicine delivery or labs and diagnostic services or teleconsultation for that matter. With this unique public-private partnership that we enrolled with PSI and Government of Madhya Pradesh and several others for the eradication of TB project, it gave us an opportunity for a tech-enabled company like us to stitch the end-to-end model which connects the sputum collection to the doorstep medicine delivery. So this is one of its kind, which is really give us a new opportunity to explore the business sector in the health pertaining to the health sector, in the sectors of government operating services, and to partner with the private sector.
So great. So I think probably is this the first collaboration that MedLife had with the government?
Yes, this is the first. It helped us to, as I said, we are operating in around 29 states, 250 cities, and we are accessible to around 25,000 PIN code, postal code services in India. So barring exceptions here and there, which are very different, remote locations and all. Otherwise, we are exploring to several other areas as well already. So with this, what we are able to do is, simplify the technology. The kind of customers who we get in this segment is not super tech savvy also. So we have to make it simple for them. So reading their lab reports has to be a SMS platform, right? It may not many of them will be using a high-end smartphone. So we have to give alternative channels like WhatsApp for them to get their lab reports, medicine delivery acknowledgement, and their IDs, government IDs like NICSHA IDs are connected at one place so that they can see end-to-end their lab test, their delivery details, and then the follow-up calls. As we all know, the TB, for example, is going to relapse if the medicine is not continued for a prolonged period, right? So we give a reminder calls to these patients and remind them about the medicine due to be availed from our TB centers, so that we service and deliver again to the doorstep, so that they don't encounter a status of relapse.
So great. So it looks like very encouraging engagement with the government of Madhya Pradesh, and it could really pave the way for more sustained engagements in future. So thank you, Mr. Sri Prasad, for being with us.
Yeah.
So far, we have heard about USAID's broader approach to public-private partnerships that informed the Shops Plus initiatives, and then went on to take a closer look at the nuances of each of the partnerships that Shops Plus facilitated. I now invite Komal to share with us the lessons learned and the factors that help support public-private partnerships. Over to you, Komal.
Thank you, Abhilash. So there are several lessons learned in our journey of forging these partnerships. So when we look at the government, the willingness to work with private sector is not a given, and advocacy is required to be done with the ministry. While in spirit, the government wants to engage with the private sector, there is always a hesitation, and that trust needs to be built. And hence, activities that focus on the cause instead of the partner's interest needs to be forged. And aligning interests of the government, which are category-oriented, with the corporates who are brand-oriented, needs ongoing management. Thirdly, finding a champion is not easy. Keeping one is even tougher. There is attrition in the private sector, and there are transfers in the government. And that's why it becomes more challenging to forge these partnerships. So as Dr. Kher also put, the successful public-private partnership requires a neutral broker, a facilitator. And because government is wary of the private sector business interests and its associated sensitivities of being viewed as favoring one corporate there. And the corporates are also hesitant to partner with the government. Hence, we have played that role of the neutral broker and that catalyst. Finally, the strong definition of shared value helped start conversations and open doors for us. For example, the MedLife contracting required substantial work on the part of the government to include e-pharmacy in the national partnership guidelines of the TB program. Similarly, MedLife, who had the first mover advantage, still needed significant business alignment. So it was the potential impact of the shared value for both partners that helped them to stay committed. So there have been several factors that have helped support public-private partnerships. Across the two examples, various themes have emerged that can serve as lessons for what worked well. So early engagement and continuous engagement, opening conversations to understand and articulate the value to both parties is very important. Demonstrating and promoting quick wins to keep stakeholders interested is also very important. For example, the letter of appeal from the Ministry of Health helped build credibility with both government and Dr. Reddy's. Being agile and responsive to unforeseen opportunities of shared interest is equally important. With non-traditional expertise to build these partnerships, zinc inclusion for stocking at home for diarrhea management took some time to finalize with the ministry, but keeping the dialogue alive with both parties helped them remain invested. And persistence and patience is needed for these partnerships, and that is what is the mantra, as we forge these partnerships. And we hope that our experiences and lessons shared today with you will help all those who want to pursue public-private partnerships to successfully create shared ownership between the partners for universal health coverage and inclusive and sustained impact of health outcomes. So thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Komal, for sharing your insights and experience. We would now like to open the floor for the audience to ask questions to the panelists. Please submit your questions in the Q&A window and indicate if your question is for a particular panelist. Please also provide your name when you submit your question. So yes, already we have a number of questions in the Q&A section. Let me start off with the first question that is being posed by Meghashi Sharma. So it writes, excellent initiative by USAID. Quick question, how are private sector providers incentivized for both diarrhea and TB initiative? Maybe I can bring in Dr. Sanjay. Dr. Sanjay, you are encouraging private sector providers to refer notified cases to the public sector. And I know it's not had been an easy task. So were you able to persuade providers to engage in this pilot?
Yeah, thank you so much, Rasan. That's really a very interesting question. Yes, it was a difficult task. So, for example, the private providers, they used to prescribe different medicines and all. So the first was to convince them. They could not believe at the first stage that the free drug can be delivered to their patient to the doorstep, or the test can be done free of cost by CVNet on this. So we built those things, and we've also brought the district TB officer in conversation with the private sector. So there was an interaction between this. And again, IMA, that also played an important role in the IMA meetings where the DTO was also a member. They discussed and they shared with that. The second step was to really have those kind of a CME, the medical education, so that they can prescribe the same drugs and other things from that. And then in the beginning, when they saw that benefit, and they also have fear that from private sector to public sector. So we said, no, it will be there with you, and they remained with the, plus also the government provision of a kind of a reimbursement and also incentive to the private sector for this were released to them, and they got that money as well over the period. So all these factors really help the private sector to participate in a more effective way. And today, they are really participating in the great way, and without losing the client, without losing the also income.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. So the second aspect of this question was on what is the incentive for private providers to get involved with diarrhea. So Komal, can I have your perspective here? So we noted that Dr. Reddy's medical detailers went to the providers and tried to motivate them to prescribe zinc as well. So what was the gain for the private provider here?
I think aligning with the national priority itself is gaining credibility for the private providers. I think that was the biggest gain for the private providers, that they were aligning with the national program, they were following the guidelines, so their credibility also increased. And that also helped Dr. Reddy's to promote zinc sales.
Great. Thank you, Komal. Dr. Khera, you took the lead to have the private sector specifically mentioned in the guidelines of the Defeat Diarrhea. So traditionally, the IDCF guidelines was restricted and focused only on the public sector. So, and you've seen some, encouraging response from the private sector. So what do you think? Why did the private sector respond positively during your tenure?
I think one has to really understand the ambitious goals, which the government has set, that we want to reach to each and every child in the country whenever there's a diarrhea episode. I also made a mention that 60% of the outpatient services, particularly with the common ailment, people go to private sector doctors. So unless we engage private doctors, we will not be able to achieve our universal health coverage goals. So I think this is the kind of a need of the hour. And I think people at the highest level will have to really understand that if we really want to achieve our committed sustainable development goals, we need to engage with the private sector. We have to find out mechanisms. And I think one of the mechanisms which we experimented in the area of Defeat Diarrhea was promoting the message of ORS and zinc use. And because we were really troubled for the last so many years, our ORS use rate is stuck up at 50 to 60%. We have not been able to improve our coverage. And similarly is the case with the zinc use. I think we have grown only from 10% to 20%. So I think if we really want more than 80% children must receive, we need to engage private sector. And to my understanding, these kind of learnings, these must be publicized. And even to be very frank, some kind of, economic analysis, cost benefit analysis of these partnerships also must be done. Only then these experiments can be replicated, for other interventions for that matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Khera. We note your point here. So here there is another question this time for Moni. Moni, I think you explained some of the initiatives that you are already doing, but I think the audience is eager to know how USAID in India will invest on public-private partnerships in future, going forward. So are you in a position to reveal any of your future plans, upcoming initiatives? Moni?
Yeah, thanks, Abhilash. Thank you for that question, audience. So for USAID, we continue to prioritize public-private partnerships in health. Especially, I think now the way healthcare in India has been rapidly evolving over the past few years. There is really a lot of change in the way healthcare is being accessed and delivered. And many more opportunities for public-private engagement are emerging, whether you take telemedicine, health aggregator models, e-pharmacy that we talked about today, wearables, all of these are gaining popularity, not just in the, elite, but also in the middle and lower economic strata of society. And this really calls for a lot of collaboration between the, government, industry and corporates, social enterprises, research institutions, and specifically if you look at things such as diagnostics or drugs or vaccines or predictive analysis or use of new technologies such as drones. So we really, from USAID, we really think that there is a lot more to do in this entire, pathway of public-private engagement, and we are doing already some things that are really path-breaking. And one such initiative that I would like to very briefly touch upon is an example where USAID is collaborating with India's National Health Authority to set up a blended financing facility, which will be a novel financing mechanism to improve health outcomes in India during the COVID-19 pandemic and beyond. So this will be a facility that will combine public and philanthropic funds with commercial capital to fund innovative market-based specifically to meet the challenges that are posed in the current pandemic crisis. And the blended financing facility will be really the first of its kind for health in India. It will mobilize about 100 million in grant and debt funding and will provide manufacturers, suppliers, healthcare providers, innovators with capital as well as mentoring support so that they can really contribute to the Prime Minister's vision on Ayushman Bharat and PMJY. So from USAID, there is continued commitment on supporting public-private engagement going forward.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you for sharing some of these upcoming initiatives and best wishes for that. I'll move on to Mr. Sri Prasad. So, Mr. Sri Prasad, the question is, what needs to be done to make it easier for the private sector players to partner with governments? I know, you took a leap of faith. The journey must have had its ups and downs. So, in that hindsight, what more could the government do to make it easier for e-pharmacies?
Yeah, it is largely around the policies and the regulations, especially to do with the free medicines. So as a organization, usually these free medicines are labeled as free medicines or samples. So this logistical services, inventory management is largely today confined to government associated organizations or somebody very, probably in some NGO sectors. It is not clearly defined, the way it can be stored, it can be transported, even from the private sector. So this area has to be addressed probably. So I think that is one key area. So, if private partnership has to go to the next level, this area has to be addressed in the regulation.
Great. Good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And just moving on to Dr. Sanjay Pandey, continuing with the e-pharmacy engagement. I know, Dr. Sanjay, you responded, but for the larger benefit of the, audience, so the question is that, the e-pharmacy currently did not include the informal sector and the RMPs. But traditionally, the National Tuberculosis Elimination Program attempts to embrace some of the RMPs and informal providers also. So is there any discussion in terms of trying to provide the e-pharmacy services to them as well?
At this moment, Abhilash, definitely no, because it was very clear to the formal sector and the clinics and hospitals registered and the doctors who are working there on that way. So primarily it is through that only at this moment. So it is not really expanded to RMPs and others. So that's what I really would like to clarify that. I saw one of the questions which came from Himanshu. And really, Himanshu, it is not because the TB drugs are scheduled drugs, scheduled H drugs, and it has to go through the proper prescription and other things, which can only be prescribed by the medical practitioner who are qualified and this. So that's one thing. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay. I'm just curious. I just wanted to ask you also about, you must have certainly faced some challenges. So what were some of these challenges and how did you overcome them?
Oh, it's a very interesting, and this journey was, full of challenges, and each challenge is an opportunity. Each challenge is an opportunity. So I see in that way. Let me begin with right from the government itself. So really first to convince the government of India and then the state government. So, and as Komal mentioned, our efforts we made presentation to the Central TB Division, we discussed, and in support of all partners, I will say in that way, including USAID, APT, these are all our partners who supported us into that. So the Central TB Division accepted, and it was included into the partnership guideline that the e-pharma can be there on that. So that's one, we overcome in that. And then to convince the state government, because they have to make provisions. And as she has rightly mentioned, it's the free drugs, and how can they store and how can they distribute? So to make those provisions and everything were there on that. So that's one. The second was, because e-pharma, there was a trust deficit with the government and all. To really get roped in the e-pharma, was one of the most difficult tasks. And the persuasion and champions like Sri within the e-pharma sector were really helpful, who really willing, who came forward to participate in the entire business. Not all e-pharma companies were interested. So that's also a big challenge because the market expansion, the way, say, Sri and the leadership of the MedLife, they saw it, others could not see. And they were the risk taker to really come into this partnership on that. And the third, even how to contract this. So contractual legal document. For example, I can tell you one thing. For example, the indemnification and the indemnification clause. It took more than 3 months to come to an agreement where vendor can agree for the indemnity clause, government can agree for the indemnity clause, and PSI can agree for the indemnity clause. So that took 3 months time. So different contractual value on this. And lastly, the operational difficulties. To really solve the operational difficulties, what we did, we created two level of committees, and one under the STO at a state level to govern and policies and the guidelines, they can clear that, and one at the DTO level in the district so that it can really take care of that. So all the day-to-day operational difficulties can be resolved into this. So yes, there were challenges, and in this journey, we converted challenges into opportunity, and we maximized the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjay, for sharing these challenges with everybody. I have a question for Dr. Khera. Dr. Khera, you worked in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and now you made a transition to the development sector by joining Engender Health. So probably you're looking at things now differently from the lens of, let's say, an implementing organization. What new insights have this given you on public-private partnership?
To my understanding, there are three important things which we must keep in mind while promoting this concept of public-private partnership. And one of the areas is, something which is called as the high-level advocacy. I think we need to invest in advocacy, and we make, all opportunities in terms of advocating with the political leaders, the bureaucrats, and even the technical heads in understanding the value and the advantage of this public-private partnership. So that's number one, investment. And then the second important, the investment which we must do is, some effort must be made in terms of, trust building. Because generally what happens between the government and the private sector, there's a kind of, gap in the trust. There's a mistrust is there, So I think we need to invest in that trust building. And that can only happen by having a continuous communication. Otherwise, if you don't communicate, that's why I think the Shops Plus did a lot of, kind of investment in terms of, continuing to communicate, kind of, patience, perseverance. And then the third important thing to my mind, we should also try to do a kind of a, outcome measurement. Like in this case of Defeat Diarrhea program, we expect that the coverage will increase. But I think at the end of the day, we must make an investment in terms of measuring the outcome so that tomorrow, we can tell that this public-private partnership has shown a significant outcome. And I also made a reference to something called as the short-term and the, long-term impact, and doing a cost-effective measurement. And then once those measurements are available, we must publicize it. Like, this is one platform which we are using. So if we have that kind of a practice documented, measured properly, people will be convinced that this is a win-win situation for a global health as a whole. Thank you very much, Abhilash.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Khera. So I think we just have 1 minute left, and we have a question here from Rohit Ashwa. This is for Mr. Sri Prasad from MedLife. Mr. Sri Prasad, you mentioned about, MedLife catering to maybe 25,000 PIN codes. So I think the query is that, currently the pilot is confined to urban areas, but, are e-pharmacies in a position to also serve, TB cases that may be detected in the rural areas?
Yes, we have capabilities. We have the technology. We have the semi-tech facilities also to cater to rural areas. wherever the postal services are available, probably we can reach out to all those locations. There is no problem whatsoever. Only thing is, as I said, some regulations around the free medicines movement is a challenge right now. It is not so taken in the right way when the transportation or the storage of the free medicines is happening. It is right now restricted to very limited set of people in the government. It is not in the private sector at all. So it is something which requires a lot of, say for example, in this case PSI really helped us to get the permissions from the local authorities, a letter, and all those things signed from all the drug inspectors. So it is very easy to operate at restricted areas, whereas maybe in some cities or like that. But when it has to go to a larger scale, yes, we need some policies around that and the regulations around it. So it will help us not to get into any kind of trouble for moving the free medicine.
Right now, so we hope that the pilot currently that we have with you paves the way for other wings of the government, other public health programs to also associate, and probably delivering multiple products, not just confined to TB, but might make it more cost effective. So thank you. I think there are a few other questions that are coming in, but these questions are very insightful and thoughtful. But unfortunately, it looks like the time is we are out of time, so we won't be able to take in any more questions. If you're looking for additional resources, you can check out the 2 web stories that we have on the e-pharmacy partnership on the ShopsPlus website. The URL is www.shopsplusproject.org. We're constantly adding new content, so do keep an eye out for additional resources that will be released from India in the future. I hope you found this webinar as engaging and informative as I have. I want to thank all our 5 speakers for joining us today and sharing their wealth of experience. I also want to thank you, our audience members, for tuning in and being so engaged. Thank you and goodbye.